All right, so we are going to construct. So construction of a rectangle. I know I have an appointment on Wednesday. You feel better now? Better? All right, so the directions for this construction are on page 307 of your textbook. And so the first directions say use a straight edge to draw line L. So you can see that line L is horizontal to your page. So if I were you, I would put it, make sure it's on a grid mark. So use your grids and then put it somewhere, we'll put it down here towards the middle. It really doesn't matter how long, I'm going to make it as long as my compass is. Label it line L. If you need me to slow down, just wave your hand and I'll slow down. All right, so then we're still in step 1. It says label a point J on line L. So towards the left-hand side. So I'm going to put this point right here, J. You okay? Okay. With your compass set at 6 centimeters, well, if you have the pointy compass, some of them have a setting for distance, some of them don't. So that's why I asked you to get your ruler. On our compasses, we have centimeters on one of your sides here. I guess I'll use it this way. So we're going to make a measurement that is 6 centimeters. And we will locate point K on L so that the distance from J to K is 6. So here's J. I don't have to tell you to start at 0 then. So 0 to 6. So here would be 6 centimeters, and this is K. So I'm going to label this as 6 centimeters. Because one of the things that we have to pay attention to when we have a rectangle is that we have congruent opposite sides, right? Now construct lines perpendicular to line L through J and K and label them as M and N. So I'm going to use a different color. And you remember how to do a perpendicular line construction? I'm actually going to extend this line here because I'm going to need a little bit more room. And I should have enough room on that side. Anybody remember how to do the perpendicular line construction? Okay. So we're going to start at J, and we're going to make a perpendicular line through here. Now it should go right along this, right? If I were to give this to you as a quiz sometime next week, you would have unlined paper, correct? Because obviously I could just draw a line through it. So we're going to take our brad, or your pointy part of your compass, and you're going to put it over point J, and you're going to hold your finger there, or just hold the pointy thing there, and then pick a measurement. It doesn't matter what measurement you pick, but don't go too far away. I'm going to pick this hole in my compass, or just open your pointy compass to a certain distance, not too far away, and I'm going to make an arc. Keeping that same distance, I'm going to swing my compass the other direction, and put my brad back over J. Holding my finger there, I'm going to make another arc. Yep, that's just random. It could be any distance that you want to. I just suggest you try to keep it close. Then put a point here at where the arc intersects line L, and a point here. You want to be able to see that point. You don't make it too huge. You want to be able to see it so you can put your brad of your compass or your pointy part of your compass on that line. So then what I want to do is I want to take my compass and put the brad on the arc where it intersects with my line, right here. And I want to choose a distance that is just a bit over halfway. Here's J, the point that we want to go through, but I want to go just a little further than J. And I think I'm going to actually go this far because I'm going to make an arc above here. keeping in mind that you remember what hole you just put. Yeah, you want it to be much further than J, because I'm going to make an arc up here above J. So make it a goodly distance. It doesn't matter what distance. I just lost my point. I chose this distance. Okay? And I lost it again. We're doing the same thing that we did from point J on line L. We're just doing it now from each of those points. So I'm going to take this same distance, okay? I'm going to swing the brad of my compass over to the other arc intersection with line L. Put my finger on it, being the same. It requires you to be a little ambidextrous, right? Using the same distance as before, I'm going to make another arc. Does an X mark the spot? Oddly enough, X marks the spot right on that grid line that I need to draw through J. So then you are going to draw a line through the X marks the spot and through J. I'm going to call this M as in Mary. Do the same thing to K. Same thing as we did before. So I'm going to use a different color. And I'm going to start with my brad on K. I'm going to choose a distance slightly to the right of K and make an arc on line L. Keeping that same distance on my compass, I'm going to swing my compass the other direction with my brad on K. Worry that you're making a trim arc. And then make another arc that intersects. My paper is not allowing it to intersect. Okay? So now I have two arcs. My spiral notebook interrupted me a smidge. So then put the 2 points on the arcs where they intersect line L. The same distance that you used from here to get here, you use the same distance from here to get there. Do I need to stop? Are some of you a little lost?
It's like my
Okay.
pencil was too gold.
So I'll pause. Is anybody still stuck here at X marks the spot?
So when you put the brown K,
Put your brad on what? On K? It's the same as what we did over here. It doesn't matter how far, when you put your brad on K, it doesn't matter how far, just make sure that you remember, like in my case, what hole I have my pencil in, and that when you turn your compass around in the other direction, that you're using that same distance. Does that make sense? To make another arc here. Because then from these points on line L, you're going to make a bigger arc, so you want to get a bigger distance. And from here, you want a distance that you're going to make an arc up here. Use that same distance, move it over here, and put another arc over here, and you'll get an X. X marks the spot. Yes. Why? Because it's part of your geometric knowledge of constructions. It is part of your Common Core. I don't answer that question. My job is to prepare you for your now course. This should be the fun part of geometry, for Pete's sake. Making constructions is fun. Then, okay, Pi Day isn't actually doing geometry. So then from here, I put my brad on the arc where it intersects line L. I'm going to choose any distance, it doesn't matter, just as long as it's above K, and somewhat of a distance above K, and then make an arc. I'm going to swing my brad, keeping the same distance, over to the other arc that intersected line L here, and make another arc in the opposite direction so that X marks the spot. Now this time, when we put K here, if you happen to put J on a nice perfect grid line, most likely K is not, right? Because we had to measure specifically 6 centimeters. So this point is where X marks the spot. I want to connect this point to K. And I'm going to call this line N as in Nancy. So now I have two perpendicular lines to line up, right? Those are two right angles. So if two lines are perpendicular to the same line, what can you conclude about those two lines?
Parallel.
They're parallel, thank you.
I got you.
Right? So I have opposite sides that are parallel right there. I have to create the same thing with another opposite side here. So now we are finished with step 1. Okay, so look at step 2. We're almost there. Shh, we're almost there. So step 2 says set your compass at 3 centimeters. So we're not going to set it at, well, unless you have a pointed compass. We're going to measure 3 centimeters on this compass. And it says place the compass point at J and mark off a segment on M using the same compass setting. Place the compass at K and mark a segment on line N. So we're going to measure 2 segments of 3 centimeters. So from J, I'm going to mark a point right here. And then from K, I'm going to mark a point right here. These points are O and P. So this is point O, and this is point P as in Paul. Then you are to connect O to P, so step 3, draw O to P. With a straight edge, of course. So now all we have to do is measure OP, because remember this is 3 centimeters. This is 3 centimeters. And then we're going to measure, because if we did it correctly, if we measure from O to P, we should get 6 centimeters, shouldn't we? And don't we? 6 centimeters. You don't have on, well, okay, you have a, are they just hard to see? Okay, let me see your compass. Oh, well, yours, it's hard to see. Here, let me switch your compass out. There you go. She has a compass where it's all rubbed off. She can't read it. Poor thing. You can barely see the, that must be, there's centimeters, but you can't even see your 0. So that one's a little useless for our measuring technique. Now, that's it. You're good to go. You're done. So I would suggest, because I can guarantee you on Tuesday of next week, you will have a quiz on this, and it will be on unlined paper. I will give you line L, okay, and I will give you a ruler, or at least a compass that has a ruler on it, and that's it. You're going to have to create to my specifications, and it might not be 6 centimeters, it might be 4 centimeters. With 2 centimeters, you know, I don't know. But you're going to have to, so you need to practice it. So we have reviewed perpendicular lines, so there is a video online to review, oh good gracious, to review creating a perpendicular line from a point on the line. Okay, so that's what we just did here.